Let's read this. It says, starting in verse 1 of 10, "For the law, since it has only a shadow of the good things to come, and not the very form of things, can never, by the same sacrifices which they offer continually year by year, make perfect those who draw near." So Rob's point is made in the very first verse. In other words, that sacrifice does not overcome sin. In other words, offering a sacrifice does not make you right with God. It doesn't take away our sins.
And it doesn't, the verb there, it doesn't make you perfect. It doesn't complete you as a human.
Right. Continuing on, verse 2, "Otherwise," so now he's going to say what would happen if it did do that. "Otherwise would they not have ceased to be offered, because the worshipers, having once been cleansed, would no longer have had consciousness of sins. But in those sacrifices there is a reminder of sins year by year. For it is impossible for the blood of bulls and goats to take away sins. Therefore, when he comes into the world, he says, 'Sacrifice and offering you have not desired, but a body you have prepared for me.'" Pardon me, this is a quote from Psalm 40. And the context is actually quite important here. And the variants are very interesting as well within this psalm. "In whole burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin you have taken no pleasure." So he takes the Septuagint rendering of a body you have prepared for me, which is awesome, because he's meaning the blood of bulls and goats you have not required, but Christ comes in a body. "So then I said, Behold, I have come. In the scroll of the book it is written of me to do your will, O God." So in other words, blood of bulls and goats, not pleasant in God's eyes for covering sin, but Christ is. After saying above, "Sacrifices and offerings and whole burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin you have not desired, nor have you taken pleasure in them, which are offered according to the law," then he said, "Behold, I have come to do your will." He takes away the first in order to establish the second. By this will we have been sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all. And I think that the context there is he's saying that, look, animal sacrifice is not going to make you right with God. That's the point of the passage. Now, I want to read one passage out of my father's commentary on the book of Hebrews. This is the second volume, page 100, for those who would like to look it up. He says this, after reading this passage that I just read. He says, "Thus, the structure of the quote emphasizes," and he's talking about the quote the writer of the Hebrews makes of Psalm 40. "Thus, the structure of the quote emphasizes, one, that the blood of bulls and goats is not what God has ordained as a means for satisfying his justice in regard to the sins of his elect. That is, he has not desired these for that purpose, but rather as a foreshadow and dramatic revelation of his way of taking away sin, namely, number two, through the obedience of his incarnate Son, Yeshua, who would give himself as the final and ultimate sin offering by which the redemption of his people would be eternally secured." I mean, you hit the nail on the head on that one. How are we going to say it better than that? Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button and check out more videos from Messiah Matters.